All right, we're back. You got your roofs in, still have your PDF out, and we are ready to continue. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do some of the walls that extend up to the roof. You can see them right here and then on the other elevations. So how to do that? The first thing and the easiest thing to do is these walls right here. These walls you can simply grab by hitting Control. Actually, I'm hitting Shift every time I pick them. I'm rotating around, hitting Shift, picking the next one. Actually, it is Control. There we go. They're all highlighted. You simply hit Attach Top Base. What this is going to do is once you click on that and you click on the roof once, it's going to bring your exterior walls and those only up, and they're going to attach to the roof. So if you move this up or down, it moves with it. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to add a different type of wall other than this horizontal siding to the upper end up here, so that we add a little bit of interest to the design. So let's go to the ceiling plan and let's create a wall, and let's do the vertical siding right there, and let's make sure that our base, our top is unconnected. Right now, let's just say 4 feet because we know it's not going to go up to 20 feet. And then instead of starting on the subfloor, let's start at the top of the plate. Make sure our location line is on the interior. Zoom in, start at the corner, and let's just work our way around the building. You know what? This one, yeah. Let's make 2 separate ones over here. Actually, I'm hitting exit, which doesn't always work when you have an Adobe program open, which is weird, but that happens to a lot of people. So if you have an Adobe program open, your escape won't work. So I hit trim TR, so I'm trimming this one with this one up here, and then I'm going to split this guy right here because this is going to have a different condition in the middle. So I'm going to split him. I'll split him here for now and here for now, and we can move that later. So let's go to the 3D view. You can now see that we have our walls all the way around on this part. I'm going to hit Tab, select all of them, click, and then I'm going to attach them to this base. Now what you can do with those with the interior units, this interior one, is that you can move them all the way, move them apart first. And then go to this section, click on your boundary box, move it up, and this one is actually going to be up by around 2 feet. And once we get into the section, you'll see that later. But then we can take this guy and we can move him up so that he's only where he needs to be. Perfect, 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 perfect. Okay, the next thing we need to do for walls is that we need to do our interior walls, and we need to make this little fireplace. So again, I'm going to click on the wall, and I'm going to hit the split element button that is right up here, the same one that we used before. If I went too fast, now you know where it's at. I'm going to cut it right in the middle. I'm going to cut this other wall too. And now if I go to my floor plan in the PDF, which I'm doing on my second screen, I can start to see, oh, it's easy, 4-foot increments. So let's just bring these apart for now. Let's make a new dimension. And if you're not finding that, you can hit Tab. Since I know I'll probably use this one later, I'm just going to connect it all the way. They're right out here. So now I can click. And then what's tricky is that Revit wants to give you its own little dimensions, which we don't care about. So sometimes you have to zoom in. Make sure you hit 4 foot on your dimensions. 4 foot. Then you're good to go. You can hit align, which is AL, or it's right up here. And then you can align your exterior siding to there. And now you can start to make these interior walls. Other than just going to walls, you can right click on almost anything and then hit create similar. Hit spacebar to flip it. And you can start to create these walls. Since this is going to be a fireplace, I didn't put any gypsum on this side. So I made this wall just 5.5-inch wood framing. Now I'm going to put in all my interior walls before I start dimensioning them. And I do that because it's quicker and simpler. So this wall, interior 5.5 double, and we can do this one from the center line because hopefully he'll give us that. That's not looking like it's lining up the best. So I can't hit exit because I got Photoshop open. Why do I have Photoshop open? No idea. So let's go to your walls. Let's do finish face interior. There you go. Hit spacebar. Connect those. That's a 5.5-inch interior wall, which normally you don't really need except for maybe plumbing walls. I put it there just to be structurally, what's the word I'm looking for? Similar. That's not the word I'm looking for. But you're probably saying it in your head right now. So let's put in these other interior walls. Just put them in close to where they need to be. Anyways, you get the picture. Put in all the walls, and then after you put in the walls, start to put in the dimensions. Let me minimize this over here. What we like to do is we like to make sure we tell the contractor how big his studs are and the carpenter. So we click on the edge of framing. This is your gypsum. This is your framing. And after we're done drawing that line, we just click anywhere, and then it releases it. You can do the same for these walls. And there was even more walls down here that you'll see in your PDF in order to make this little, there's going to be a fireplace right here. We're going to put some bookcases. And we'll make a closet behind here. So this is a little cabin. Those bookcases would swing out. It'd be a little secret thing. It'd be pretty cool. So now what you can do, let's say this isn't right, and it's not. This is supposed to be 3'2". A lot of people will try to click in there and try to change it. That's not the way. What you want to do is click on the object that you want to move. Then click on the highlighted blue. Then you can change it. Same thing's true if you put the dimensions over here. Okay, so go ahead and get all of your framing ready to go, all of your interior. And the next thing we'll do is we'll put in windows, doors, and components. So these ones are pretty simple. What you do for windows, there's 3 windows, and as you can see in your PDF, there's tags and schedules that tell you what they are. So the single hungs I just know are over here. And you guys don't want to place them. Let's do this one. Don't place them in the exterior wall, because that's not where windows go. They go in the framing wall. A lot of people will do this, and not only does that look weird, but it's also wrong. See how that looks? See how that looks compared to that one? So go ahead and place in all of your windows. The doors work the same way. So here's some doors that you can put in. To change doors, you simply click. Let's put a single flush. Hit spacebar to rotate it. Also, if you already place them in, you can use those toggle switches to move them. This goes down there. And those are pretty simple. Those are pretty simple to put in all your windows and doors. But let's go look at the outside. Something's happening that's weird. You see how the windows and doors aren't showing through? And the reason for that is that they're not joined. These two walls are independent walls and they're not joined together. So the simple thing to do is click on the wall, click the join button, which is right here, and then you click on both walls and they'll join them together. And then you see how you have a cutout right there? Do the same for all of your walls. Cut out that door, cut out this. You won't have any over here, so it doesn't really matter. And there you go. So now that you have these in, do the same things that you did for the walls, is dimension them. And then once you dimension them, you can click on them and move them. So this one is supposed to be 2'4" away. This one is supposed to be 2'6", and so on. So put in all your doors and your windows. The only thing that's tricky and semi-different, normally we don't teach this right away, but people tend to like putting storefront in. And it's pretty easy. It's just another architectural wall, and it's kind of like drawing a wall within a wall. So you go to your wall options, you hit storefront, you start, where you'd want it to start, and I know it's 12 feet, and then click to end it. I'm going to rotate this so that your glass is on the outside. So now to edit these, what you can do under architecture is that you can start to move these mullions, and the first thing you have to do is unlock them. Then you can tab through, and once you unlock that, you can start to move that line. So we want these 3 foot. Oops, unlock. 3 foot. If you need to add another one, you can click add remove segment. You can add. Here, it's under architecture, curtain grid right here, and then you can start to add some. If you need to add in a door, you hit tab to cycle through until you hit your panel, unlock it, and then you can change that to a glass panel, and that's your door. Voila. Okay, so we got our walls and our doors in. The next thing we need to do is put in our components and our families. One thing that I did skip, but you guys will have to do, is to make your deck. And to make your deck, it's just a floor, and it's your 2x8 floor. And now you're in sketch mode, and the dimensions are on your PDF. So you just dimension them like you dimension the other floor. You just draw it. you draw it from the framing, not from the exterior wall. And then let's say this one, oh, that first one, it doesn't give you this dimension. It's about a foot, it's probably 4 foot 6 inches. If you don't have a dimension, guys, go ahead and just guess and get it close. That one was in there. This one is 4 foot past that. So what? 10 foot. Anyways, I'm not going to draw all of it, but you guys can. And the thing about this is that it's going to be 3 inches down from the main top of plate. That's kind of a standard. Some people actually do. It depends on what the code is and where you're from. Sometimes it's 1 1/4 inch. Sometimes it's just 1. We just normally do 3 inches down from your door. Okay. Other than putting in all of your doors, all that, let's put in some components. So those are pretty simple. You'll find almost all of them under your components, and you can just literally everything that's in here is going to be used once. So you could start at the top, find your king bed, put it there. If it's not rotating right, you can hit space bar and it will rotate around. Just click and it's there. Go down, bookcases. The bookcases are going to be over here. I think that side's the outside. You actually have to have in more walls to place these, to line them up. If they're not lining up, you can hit AL for align. Click on what you want it to align to, then click on the object. And the same is true for your kitchen. So they're under components. And let's do your base cabinet, 24. It's probably 18 over on the other side. And once you get all of these in, what you can do is you can create a view, an elevation view, and then double click on it, and then you're going to want to make your elevation just like I have on the last page, right here, and you'll see the scale 1 1/2 inch, and you see that you can see the knobs on here. So if we change that down in our scale to 1 1/2 inch, and to be able to see the knobs, all you have to do is change the detail level, put it to fine, and now you can see the knobs. And then you can start to dimension all those and put them in. So other than that, obviously make it way cleaner. The other thing I want to go over is the dimensions. And I want to kind of give you some logic of why we do it this way. So if you haven't dimensioned a plan before, we feel like the way that we have it set up is the easiest and how we learned back from high school and in college too. I took a bunch of drafting in high school too. So the first dimension line, there's normally kind of 3 tiers. Some people will do 4 tiers depending on how complicated it is. But the first tier is kind of giving you a dimension of everything you kind of need to know. The center of windows, walls, and the outside. So it's kind of everything. The second tier of dimensions is just your walls, right? Because when they're framing it, they want to know this dimension, that dimension, especially for foundations. So that's kind of your hierarchy there. And then your third dimension is normally just the whole thing. Sometimes with decks, it's iffy. I could have pulled that all the way over, but here you can see this is the whole 32 feet of how big the whole project is. What you'll see on some plans, is that people will get lazy and they won't do like this. They won't always finish it out. And the problem with not finishing it out is one that they think that, like they're saving themselves time, but actually they're having to make more decisions, like what to dimensions and not what to and what not to dimension. So it actually takes more brain power and actually probably wears you out even more. And the second thing is they make the wrong decisions sometimes, and they sometimes choose not to dimension when you would really like a dimension there. So if you always fill out all of your dimension lines from beginning to end, no matter what, and then if you always do the 3-tier, and if you always do it on all 4 sides, some people will just, for some reason, they'll want to just do 2 sides and then 1 tier on another side. It doesn't take you that long. It's not that hard. Do 3 tiers, all 4 sides, all the time. That's it. That's simple. And your plans, they'll become clean, and everyone will know how to find dimensions, and it'll be pretty simple. So go ahead and put in all your components like this. One thing I forgot to show you, put in all your dimensions, is this little equal sign. So let's put in a door right there and show how that works. We don't need to save it. So let's hit spacebar. Perfect. We put in a door and we want it centered. So we're going to dimension. Put in my dimensions. And if I just hit this little equal button right there, it will move the door so that it's equal between the walls. So that's something you guys might not know. The other thing is tagging. So we have our tags here for the windows that will correspond to our schedules later. And there's a couple ways to do that. Under Annotate, you can tag by category, and it will tag whatever you click on. You want to take off your leader because that's kind of the line, and we don't need that. You can click, 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 and then you could click and move these, however you want it, however we have in the drawings. Another way to do it is that you can tag all, and you tag all by a category. So you could do door tags, and the kind of door tags we want is builder style. And then do you see how that populates all the door tags? Gets them ready. So you could tag all those. Either way you want to do it, individually or wholly. And the same is true for the outside. See this guy? Now that we got him where we want him, we can bring him, line him up. Perfect. So tag all. Let's go down. Window tags. Tag them all. Okay, the last thing we covered: windows, doors, families. Let's do this little half wall. So in here, you'll see, what looks to be like a countertop. So how we made that, think about how you'd make that in reality. Put a little wall. We're going to take that wall. We're going to unconstrain it. We're going to make it 3 foot 6 inches high. Okay? You probably want to dimension that wall, put it in place. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little countertop. We're going to do that by making an in-place model. Okay? We're just going to call it generic right now. You could call it casework, which wouldn't be bad. But right now we're just going to stick with generic because we're just learning. Those categories allow you to schedule easier in the future. We're just going to create an extrusion, and once we do that, we're going to go into sketch mode. Everyone's been in sketch mode, so it's pretty easy. 8 foot. So we're going to, so once we draw it, So since this was an extrusion, we have to tell it where to start and where to end. We're going to start it at 3'6". Look at that, and it's going to go up to 3'8.5". Perfect. Material, we're going to have it countertop. If we wanted to change that, we just click in the material, search for another material that we wanted, and mine popped up over here. And I might as well, yeah. So then you could change it. You could click on a different material. You could edit this material. And I think that's popping up on a different screen that I don't have right now. And that's something we'll go into later. But anyways, for now, you can just assign a material, use the countertop. What this little button is for right here is to associate it with a parameter. So if I wanted to change this material, every time I'd have to come, click, hit edit, and then come into here and do it. If I click here, I can add a parameter, call it material, hit OK, hit OK, and then finally check out to make this thing happen. Hit finish one more time. It's kind of like layers. You got to check out of a bunch of layers. So instead of hitting edit in place and going back into it, you can simply edit the type and change the material right in there. So other than that, there's one more thing. Let's put on our roof. Under roof, there's fascia. And we only have one element in here. And you simply click on the top parts of the roof and it will make your fascia for you. There's also, which we don't have in there, but just so you know, there's also gutter. So you could put a gutter on it. I won't count it as wrong. And the other thing, which we won't be doing, but just so you guys know, there's the soffit, and those are created just like roofs. So if you look in here, it goes into sketch mode. You can create the soffits. You can create them either horizontally, or you can actually apply a slope to them too if you want them. And then you can, if you put those, you can schedule those out too. So that's it. That's it for this little tutorial. We'll be back with more, so keep chugging along, and you should be back with all of those things that I talked about. The windows, the doors, the families, the interior elevations, the dimensions, the tags, and you should have already had the walls, add the interior walls, the roofs, and all that. I'll see you next time, and good luck.